Good morning, everybody. Just a quick video for you today. I'm going to be comparing the Rega Brio on your left to the Rega IO on your right. These are both integrated amplifiers that have analog inputs and no digital inputs. On the front, you can look at the aesthetic. The Brio is a little bit more well built. It feels more solid, whereas, well, it's no slouch. The IO on your right just feels more industrial. You can see here, this Rega insignia lights up when it's powered on, where this one is a little more faded, but there also is a red light that will turn on to show it while the amplifier is on. On your left, you have a 6.3 millimeter headphone jack, where on the IO you have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. The Brio has 5 inputs. One of them is a phono stage, and then 4 analog RCA inputs. And then on the right, you also have one phono stage that is actually the same phono stage as the Brio, and then 2 RCA inputs. Usage-wise, if you know how many inputs you need, they function the exact same. You click through with the button to get through the inputs. You have to cycle through each one to return back. On the back, also basically the same. There are a few differences though. You'll notice that you have different 5-way binding posts on both. You have the same power input for powering your supply. One of the main differences, other than the inputs, is where they put the grounding wire. Where the IO has this grounding wire that's just directly underneath the phono stage. On the Brio, the grounding wire, well, I think it's inconvenient, is actually on the bottom. Once you have it set up, it's not a problem, but it's worth noting. Going back to general use, these amplifiers are meant to be with preferably 8 ohm speakers, possibly 6. The manual says that you can use 4 ohm speakers, but I will say using these with the ELAC Unify 1.0, the UB51s, these amplifiers do get hot. Now they will automatically cut out if they get too hot, but while these have definitely reached somewhere between 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, or a little bit over 100 degrees, I have never had either of them shut off while using 4 ohm speakers. But I will say that compared to the ELACs, I definitely preferred using the Klipsch RP150Ms or the CSS Crichton 1TDX speakers. Other things that you should know sound-wise, I do think that the 50 watts per channel of the Brio serves the sound a little bit better than the 30 watts per channel in the IO. There's more texture to the sound in the Brio. It is more organic than the IO. That is not to say that the IO is not organic. That's just to say that I think the dynamics and the sound stage are better in the Brio, specifically because of the increase in wattage. But use my Crichtons, for example, my CSS Crichton speakers. They're 87 dB sensitive. So just think about it, 30 watts versus 50 watts. At 1 watt, I'm using, 87 watts? Or sorry, at 1 watt, I'm 87 dB, 2 watts, 90, 4 watts, 93, 8 watts, 96 dB, which is really loud. 16 watts, I'm at 99 dB. And then, so the IO maxes out a little bit over 100 dB, which is ear-splitting noise. And then you're going to get a little bit over 102 dB of sound out of the Brio. both of those levels are insanity. If you listen above 90 and you do that regularly, I think that you're going to lose your hearing within 5 to 10 years, if not earlier. So I do think that this is fine for most. Both of these amplifiers are fine for medium to small rooms, and they probably will still prove sufficient for any room that you have in your house for your speakers. Oh, one thing I did want to mention that you probably noticed, there are no outputs. I mean, we've talked about it not being digital at all, but there's no subwoofer output on this. So if you want to use a subwoofer, you're gonna have to do a workaround. You might have to have some, might have to use something like a Blue Sound Node. You might have to have a subwoofer with speaker level inputs and outputs. But you will have to be creative if turning this into a 2.1 system with 2 speakers and 1 amplifier. For my setup, I use these as strict 2-channel listening for my analog, my vinyl. But for my digital, I find the Blue Sound Node to be very helpful because it allows me to have an HDMI input. It allows for me to have optical, RCA, coaxial, SPDIF. I think the Blue Sound Node is great for this. But if you want to do strict 2-channel listening, these are great. I would recommend these to both. At $1,100 for the Brio, I think you're getting the best sound that you're going to get for $1,100 or less, from what I've heard. At $725 for the EO, you're going to sacrifice some of that texture, but also is it worth $375? I don't think it is. I actually think that for $725, you are getting close enough to the Brio's performance that you're not gonna miss the Brio. That's my personal opinion. Now, if you need more than 2 RCA inputs and more than 1 phono stage, no, you probably do wanna look at the Brio. But if the inputs of the EO are good enough and that's all you need, I think that's all you need to buy. Are you sacrificing a few things? Yeah, you're probably sacrificing some build quality, but you probably aren't moving your amplifier very much, if at all. Are you sacrificing some inputs? Yeah, you're sacrificing some inputs. Are you sacrificing some soundstage and dynamics? Yeah, you are, but it's not terrible. And I dare say your ears will quickly be trained to not miss what you don't know. And me personally, I actually like the way the EO looks more than the Brio. I don't like the silver. I like the form factor and kind of the industrial feel of the EO, but that's subjective. But can you go wrong with either one of them? No. Is the Brio better? Yeah. Is it $375 better? Mm-mm. So I'd get the EO, but that's just me. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I appreciate you watching. Whatever you got in your system, enjoy it. We're fortunate that we can all have systems to listen to the music that we love. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.